It's Car Con Carne. I'm James Van Osdell, and if you're listening or watching in the Chicago area, it's no secret the winters here are brutal. In fact, as we're recording this, it's like 9 degrees outside as we're sitting on Armitage Avenue. For a homeowner, winters mean your gutters, windows, and doors can take a beating, and then the wind and hail kind of finish the job when spring rolls around. If you think you may have damages that could qualify you for a roof and or siding replacement through your insurance, you need to talk to my friends at Suburban Roofing and Siding for a free 9-point inspection of your property exterior before you call your insurance company. Let them assess any damages you may have and walk you through the steps of a claim, hassle-free. They're an accredited member of the Better Business Bureau with an A-plus rating. A-plus, Moose! Uh-huh.
Excellent.
And all their contractors are licensed, bonded, and insured. They also use the highest quality materials available at no additional charge to you. No additional charge, guys.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Call 224-677-6149, 224-677-6149, or visit them at suburbanroofingandsiding.com. Car Con Carne, also sponsored by this book right here. 90 Days in the 90s. This is a fiction book written by my friend Andy Fry, and the whole idea is that it centers around Chicago. There's a record store owner. Her name is Darby, and she discovers the mystical gray line. It's not the yellow line, it's not the blue line, not the pink line. It is the gray line in the CTA transit system, and the gray line takes you back in time, and it takes Darby back to the 90s in Chicago. You guys remember the 90s in Chicago?
I do.
Very well.
Yeah. Saw a couple shows, played a couple shows back in the day. She goes back to the 90s in Chicago, and as you guys know, what a time it was. So her challenge is, does she stay in the 90s forever, or does she come back? I don't know what I would do given the chance, but you can find out what Darby does. 90 Days in the 90s. You can get it at 90daysinthe90s.com, and if you order through the website, you get it autographed by author Andy Fry. So we are here. The Brokedowns are in the car. 3/4 of the Brokedowns join me today. This is something I swear I think I've been trying to put together for probably 7 years now. It's hard to get all you guys in the same place.
You still didn't get all four of them.
Yeah, I know, and it still didn't happen.
I think I started to try and get you guys to do an interview or a something when this album came out.
Okay.
Which, Sick of Space, which I shouldn't leave on the heated dashboard, but there it is. Perfect for records. But you are here today to celebrate the release of this new record. I got to hold it up because the artwork is super, super awesome. Maximum Khaki is the new Brokedowns release.
Yep.
Recently released. I want to talk about the album cover. I want to talk about the Brokedowns.
Yeah, that cover rules. I love it.
The cover is amazing. But first, we're outside Dante's Pizzeria on Armitage. What's the address, Moose? It's Armitage.
You know what? I honestly don't know off the top of my head. I probably should. I don't work at this Dante's, for the record. I work at the other Dante's.
It's on Armitage. It's west of
Let's see.
On Armitage.
It's west of California.
Recent GPS searches.
See what the Gook says.
Yeah. It says, oh, here we go. It is 3028 West Armitage Avenue.
3028 West Armitage Avenue. Dante's known for just fantastic pizza slices, among other things. And that's what we have in the car tonight. We're all eating a slice.
Oh, yeah.
And Moose, because you are part of the Dante's Corporation, you also recommended an appetizer, too.
Oh, yes. I was actually excited to try this because we don't have this at our location. These are the artichoke hearts.
Ooh.
Which...
Oh, look at that. Here, I'll take out the
Look at this.
roving cam.
Look at that.
Oh, anything breaded and deep fried, as a rule, is kind of great.
Yes,
good.
and coincidentally vegan.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Well, of course, they're artichoke hearts.
Yes, but no egg wash, and there's no milk in the breadcrumbs. We used to do other fried products like that, and these are vegan.
All right, well, pass it to the guys in the back.
Yes.
And a roll call. Everyone who's here by name, so that people can identify face and name.
I'm John. I play bass and sing in the Brokedowns.
I'm Eric. I play guitar.
Mustafa, play drums in the Brokedowns.
I love it.
Yes.
Again, Maximum Khaki is the new release. Who got what? I'm going to try one of these.
Delicious.
Yeah, those I liked. You guys want to try any of the marinara?
Oh, yeah.
Yep, there you go.
One of the things I like about
I got
Dante's...
your slice here, too.
Give that man his
Oh,
slice.
yeah, we have your
Don't forget
slice.
your slice.
One of the things I like about Dante's, and I've done different episodes at Dante's in years past, the slice of the day.
Mm-hmm.
There's always something cool and worth trying as the slice of the day, and I'll show what I got. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, they are good.
Yeah. You guys want to try with marinara? Marinara?
Man.
Nope.
But
Oh,
don't drop
don't spill it,
it.
man.
Don't
Boy.
do that.
Is the marinara spicy or is that?
Yes, it is. It's our signature. It's the same as the red sauce. It is spicy. Yes.
Love. All right, so we're here on a Tuesday night. I got the slice of the day, which is the Italian beef slice with banana peppers and black olives. It looks amazing.
I have
Whoa!
I have the vegan slice of the day, which is Palermo's Unreal Pepperoni.
Look at that.
And they make it in-house over at our location. And then there's giardiniera and red onion.
That looks fantastic.
Yeah,
Nice
right?
combo moves.
Yeah, we need to make sure that this is the last stop of the night for all of us because no one's going to want to be around us after we eat this place of pizza.
No.
This is it. We're done in this car
Totally.
right now. All right. Do you have a preferred way to eat your Dante slice? Do you
I fold mine, yeah. I'm a folder.
I do too.
I do fold.
I don't know how else to eat it
You
without
kind of
folding
have
it.
to to slice this
Yeah.
size.
I love coming to Dante's.
It's like New Haven style pizza, so it's always thin.
Like us.
Oh yeah, good stuff.
I have a confession to make. I was in later adult years when I discovered how awesome Italian beef is on pizza.
Same. I never did that. I mean, I'm from like Carpentersville, the Elgin area. Like, I never did that on pizzas out there. It wasn't until I started working at Dante's that I.
You know what's
saw
funny
that.
is my family does pizza Sunday every Sunday, and Italian beef is our topping of choice. Every Sunday I eat that.
So you're
Yeah, it's nothing new
Italian
for me.
beef,
Oh yeah, I love Italian beef on pizza.
Oh, yeah.
And when I tell people that's like my favorite, they're like, "Wait, you put Italian beef on pizza?" I was like, "In Chicago we do."
Can I ask you guys something separate? How weird do you think a Tito's and diet is to order at a bar?
That's weird.
Yeah. Do you think that's weird or no?
I don't think that's weird. No.
Okay.
I mean, I would probably go with like a whiskey instead
See?
of vodka, but
Tito's and soda for me.
I order a Tito's and diet, and people are like, "What? That's crazy!" And I'm like, "How is that crazy? It's just like an alcoholic Diet Coke."
well, I think because
basically.
most people, maybe people don't like to mix vodka with Coke. Maybe I don't know. Like I said, I would do whiskey and Coke over vodka.
Well,
But
sure.
Yeah, but Moose is unique.
Yeah.
He is a special flower in the garden.
That's right.
Thank
All right,
you.
So Maximum Khaki, has it really been 5 years since the last album?
Oh shit!
Yeah. Now that
Yeah.
you mention it, doesn't seem like it, but now that you mention it, I
And
guess it is.
We can all admit that time flows differently now.
It does.
Yes.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. Days, years, weeks, months, they're meaningless at this point. But still, 5 years is a long time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like we started working on that right after our last album, but then of course, with like COVID and everything, that set everything back. But yeah, 5 years, that's crazy, especially because Chris already has demos for a new album that he gave us before this one came out. You know what I mean? So it's
Right.
like it starts sometimes like at the same time as the release when we have new songs, but then it'll be 5 years before those come out. But we'll have like another batch of songs ready to go.
I
you know?
would say though, like the thing is we were on track to have that one out.
Yeah,
2 years
yeah,
after the last one.
yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, we had tracked drums and my bass was done in like February 2020, and then like everything just completely fucking fell apart. And like where most bands were like, we got to do this, we got to get through this.
Nope.
We were like, we'll take a break. Who gives a shit?
We'll figure this out. If the world's
Yeah.
still here at the end of this,
Yeah.
Right. Then we'll
We'll get
finish
back to
the album.
business.
This might be a
There's
waste.
no rush. So then we ended up finishing it. In fact, Joe Gack, one of the pizza delivery drivers you saw while you were in there, who recorded Maximum Khaki, me and him started recording some of the vocals like mid-pandemic, and it was weird. We had like masks on and stuff. We took like Binex tests. It was like in the throes of the shit, you know what I mean? And then we finished this thing summer.
do you need to work at a pizza place to make excellent punk rock?
It sure seems that way.
It's a coincidence, but yeah, it rules.
I just finished with jury duty. Circumstantial evidence counts. So the circumstantial evidence says that yes, you do need to work at a pizza place.
I think that's science right there.
That's right. It is science.
we have so many bands that come in. It's like always the lunch after they did the show the night before. And you know what I think is hilarious is if you play with like any of our bands, or like Tim's band, Canadian Rifle. If you play with them, the next day you show up, you eat lunch. That's like the full Chicago experience, I think. You know, like
Play a show, get some Dantes.
Have you played Chicago? You know, that's how you play Chicago, I think, a lot.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah.
This pizza kicks ass. The banana peppers
Oh,
are a nice touch. This is really good. What pizza, what slices do you guys have?
I got pepperoni. The pepperoni at Dante's rules.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with
It's unbeatable.
I just went classic cheese.
you
Can't go wrong.
Yep.
Can't go wrong.
Those
Plus, I have gout, so I do watch the amount of,
I don't think I even truly know what gout is from a medical perspective, other than you don't want it.
Here,
right?
show them your foot.
You don't want it.
I'm just joking.
It's not flamed up, so it's all good.
Yeah, no,
You
just-
certainly don't want it, and if you ever get it, there will be no mistake that you have it.
Yeah.
So you mentioned the pandemic. For those of you who are wondering, how did the Brokedowns create music around the pandemic? Is that answered in Satan in Quarantine?
Man, you know, some of those themes and even some of the original song titles that we had kind of like started to show, like they started to kind of like show themselves as all that stuff happened, where we had it all before it happened, kind of oddly like getting, you know, like kind of not predicting, but anyway. Yeah, I don't know. Who wrote that? Chris? Chris
Yeah,
wrote
Chris.
that?
Yeah, Chris.
What's that about?
You probably have to ask him, but I think
Damn
just
it.
in general, the songs are just about like this reality that we all live in right now.
Yeah, you know what?
general.
That has to be the difference, though. Like, if this album, if we did have to kind of push it, I mean, weren't a lot of the lyrics written like during the pandemic?
Yeah.
They were, yeah, for
so,
sure.
like, imagine what the lyrics would be if we kind of were pushing for, you know, it'd be all the same music. All the music was done, so it's like
Music
all
was
the
done,
same music,
yeah.
but it'd probably have like some different lyrics.
And that's how it usually works. We'd kick out the music pretty quick and then just kind of go back and. You know,
Now, for those who haven't heard the Brokedowns, which Maximum Khaki is a fine place to start. For those who haven't heard, all the songs are super short. But what's interesting, what I love about the Brokedowns, they're super short, but they feel complete. They don't feel like unfinished thoughts.
Yeah.
Thank you.
yeah,
that's
thanks.
a
Appreciate
compliment.
that.
That I think is no small feat to do.
You know, mission accomplished, I think.
Yeah, I mean, to be able to get our message across in less than a minute and a half.
Well, to get your message across and have breakdowns and cool changes, like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I
thank you.
appreciate
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, thank
You know
you.
what's hilarious though is one time a friend's band asked me, like, on the way to Minneapolis, hey, could you just learn these 6 songs on our Bandcamp and play because our drummer can't do it? And every song was like 30 seconds long, but there were like 17 different changes in every song, like 17 different changes in a 30-second song. So like that was kind of like tough. You know, it would have been easier to play like 4 minutes of like the same beat, you know. But yeah, so I think that's hilarious, trying to fit in a lot of changes in just a little bit amount of time. But you get your point across.
I think too, like the attention span gets shorter as we get older.
That's
You
true.
know, so you know why like I don't I have a hard time sitting through a 5-minute song. I love Ted Leo. I was listening to that newer Ted Leo EP today while I was working, and I fucking love Ted Leo. But there was like a 5-minute and 30-second opener. And it was like, oh Jesus! I love Ted Leo, but I mean, I can't, like, my attention span is just shorter than that.
It's interesting you should say that. I don't necessarily feel that way when it comes to music. In general, in life, I feel like I have a much shorter attention span. I don't know if it's because I'm of a certain age. I'm a seasoned old man at this point, or if it's post-COVID. But I used to love reading books. I mean, I still love reading books. I have a really hard time sitting down and focusing. I get really bored and anxious, and I don't know if it's like ADD or whatever, but I kind of feel what you're describing.
Yeah, I buy books.
And they look great on the shelf.
Yeah.
They look really impressive.
Moose
Oh,
has
yeah.
an awesome library at his
Yep.
house. If you
One
ever
day-
need a book.
One day I'll read the books that I've been buying.
Seeing what other people say about the Brokedowns. Again, if you haven't discovered the Brokedowns yet, my goodness, here's your gateway drug right here, the new record, which we'll talk about the cover. I just fucking love the cover. But the album is out now. But I see words like fun and silly used to describe the Brokedowns. These are words that journalists use. Those are words that are used to describe the Wiggles. I don't.
You know what's funny about that is, I was saying Chris will like send us demos. A lot of times he has his kids, they like participate in the demo. So it'll be like a Casio keyboard, him playing guitar. His kids will play a drum beat or something in the background, or they'll be singing along. But it's hilarious. It's like time with his kids, but he's also working on demos to send us. So, and they appear like they're on the last album, they're on this album.
They're on this album.
Yeah.
Eric's kids have been helping out too. Like his son Jack has like took pictures of us.
Yeah,
Like,
and my daughter was like she was the
lead
samurai sword swinger
in our video,
in
yeah.
one of our videos.
Well,
yeah.
all right, let's talk about that song. You introduced Samurai Sword Decontrol at Reggie's in this way. It's about protecting your house with a samurai sword. True enough, you just released the video. I love this. It's Halloween themed.
Yeah.
I mean,
A little bit of
accidentally
apocalypse, yeah.
Yeah.
There's limb and head severing.
Yeah, lots of head severing by a 10-year-old girl. Yeah.
Spoiler warning: pretty much everyone dies in this one.
Yeah. No survivors. She survives.
Yeah, she's,
Right.
Yeah.
she's good.
And
But
in
that's-
true
the pizza
Brokedowns
doesn't
fashion,
survive.
Oh yeah, even the pizza gets murdered by the samurai sword.
Yeah.
And she eats the pizza off of it.
Yeah.
So that was all hers. She just
she was
just went
great.
with that.
I get the sense, going back to fun and silly, I get the sense you like doing videos.
Oh, we
Yeah,
do.
you know
yeah,
what's
it's
funny?
so much fun.
But we try to do. We were like, the plan was to do 3 that day, and we just got time. We only had time to do 2, and then they did some touch-ups like later, I think, in the week for some night footage. But
We did knock out 2 in one day, though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hey,
almost,
that's not a
almost
bad
two-
day.
Yeah, we just wanted some night footage. So
That's
we
not a
came,
bad afternoon,
yeah,
actually.
It
But
really was. It
we're
was
all-
one day that we got both of those done.
it's a
for the
good
most part.
excuse. We all get to hang out with each other and each other's families.
Yeah,
you know.
Order
yeah, because our
food.
families were all there. My kids and my wife were there. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was a
Everybody
family
gets
thing.
along.
Chris.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
I mean, except for the. Never mind.
We're all pretty much family at this point.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, let's talk about other video stuff. Obey the Fumes. As God is my witness, if I have to sit through another Zoom or Teams call as long as I live, that's something you address in this video.
Yeah.
And I say that knowing that I'm going to jump on Teams calls all day tomorrow.
Same.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the irony of that is that I spend my entire day in Zoom
Yeah, no
meetings.
kidding.
So, and I'm pretty sure John does too.
Yep.
And you know what? I'm happy with that if I can do it all from home.
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
That's a win.
Yeah.
So Zoom recording gone wrong. There are ninjas. There are space aliens. There's a crime scene. That
Yeah, Eric gets
like,
killed.
who storyboards this stuff?
Chris, which
Yeah.
is also such a bummer that he's not here right now. But
Yeah.
Chris. Usually anything he throws at us, we just say yes. And honestly, even if it doesn't totally make sense right then, it
Yeah.
comes together even better.
Like he came to us with the idea for Obey the Fumes and like described it to us, and we were like, yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. And then we weren't quite sure how it was going to go together. And then when we showed up that day, he was like, all right, well, this could be a complete shit show,
Yeah.
but let's just give it a shot. And we started with Moose, and that actually went pretty well. And then
Yeah.
we went down the line and shot everybody's parts, and then our buddy Ian weaved them all together into this Zoom video. But yeah, I mean, it ended up, he was kind of like, this could be a total crapshoot, or it could be awesome. And I feel like it turned out how he was envisioning it.
And,
Yeah.
and most of our parts, or at least mine, was done in one shot.
Yeah,
one
that's true.
continuous, handing me food, shotgunning a beer.
The
doing all-
beer
that was
shotgun
all
part was-
one
yeah.
shot, one
Yep.
take, one
We
shot.
couldn't have planned that better. John opens the beer and it just shoots right at the camera. And I don't know if anybody can really notice that in the video, but
it doesn't look like
It doesn't-
anything was more than one take. So I mean,
Yeah, that's true.
It's not like anything to him.
Yeah, no one's going to look at that video and say, I think I saw that debut at Sundance.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
Pretty sure. And of course, in true Brokedowns fashion, the whole video is like 75 seconds long.
Yeah.
yep, yeah,
I mean, it'll take you longer to take a leak than it will to watch this video.
absolutely.
Yeah. I mean,
And it
That's
took us
true.
about 4 or 5 hours to film a less than a minute and a half music video.
it's just proof that anybody can make a video. If you don't think you can, I mean, just watch our videos. You got it.
Right.
And this is something I've said repeatedly. I feel like we're due for some kind of music video resurgence. It's now that everyone has video equipment in their pocket, basically.
Yeah, no kidding.
Learning something like Final Cut Pro takes a day of focus, and you can figure that shit out. I feel like there's a real opportunity for bands.
Oh man, I know. How cool was that shit? I mean, that was like my favorite thing back in the day. I just like
100%.
I listened to a podcast where they discussed the trilogy of the Guns N' Roses, the Don't Cry, November Rain, and Estranged. Those videos. That shit was nuts. There was like commercials for the Estranged video, like when it was going to premiere and everything. Yeah, I mean, and now
November Rain, that was massive.
Massive.
I mean, just massive. God. It was just so epic.
But people, it's not so much like that anymore. Although there are some really cool videos. Some people I know have been putting out some cool stuff.
The olds are not all right. I bring this up, well, because it's on the album Maximum Khaki, but you're elder statesmen now, boys.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, we're pretty much middle-aged at this
point. I think
point.
Moose is the last one to hit the 40 mark.
Yeah, that's true. 40. He just turned 40 a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, earlier this month, yeah.
So as elder statesmen at your monthly meeting, when you chart the future of the local scene, do you feel that? Do you feel like all of a sudden you're in almost like a mentor role to the younger bands who want to play with you? And
you know what? I think. Go ahead, John.
Oh, it's a good question. You know, the funny thing is that it seems like, we see some bands come up that are younger, but we always like try to treat bands the way we wanted to be treated, or like we hoped like we were treated by like bands that we totally loved when we were growing up. We got the opportunity to play with a lot of cool bands like throughout the years that we loved. Some were just so amazing to us. I think we always like, whether we even talked about it or not as a band, I don't know that we ever have, but I think we always just tried to be that. So it almost feels like it's just like we're part of the same scene. You know what I mean? And I look at other bands like that, maybe that are younger, it's just like, like comrades almost, like you're doing this shit, we're doing it too. Like we're part of like this moment in time.
Yeah,
we're in it
absolutely.
Together. Yeah.
But I will say, I did probably like maybe 5 years ago, I realized that most people I work with, they were all in bands and we're all playing together, but I had this like thing, I'm like, oh, I'm like almost 10 years older than a bunch of these people. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, I just seriously was like, for a while, I'm like, we're all the same age, right? We're all here, we're all doing the same thing, we're all the same age. And then I was like, no, you guys are 10 years younger than me. You're 26. Like, oh man, yeah, I gotta maybe get like some type of like retirement plan figured out somehow.
I gave you credit for the short songs and how they're fully realized. You listen to a Brokedowns song and it feels complete, even though it's 90 seconds long or whatever. That all said, one of the longer songs on the album is my favorite, and that being Man-Graves.
Oh yeah.
Masculine caskets.
Long is, of course, by degrees, but there's a great tempo change, and I mentioned tempo changes earlier. There's a great tempo change about 2 minutes in that takes the song in a totally different direction, and then it just kind of punches you in the face again. I love the way you kind of manipulate emotions by doing that.
Oh, thanks.
That's a Chris thing. Again, he's not here, but I tripped out when I heard that because I was like, man. Like, it was weird to hear Chris do something that was so, like, to break away like that in that part in between, before we all come back in. But, man, yeah, no.
No, and I've always tried
it's a fun one to play.
Like, from a vocal standpoint, like, Chris is really supportive of me just doing, like, whatever I think will be cool. Vocally, whether it be backups, like the melodies I want to sing to everything. He's just like, dude, run with it. Like, if you could do something with this, run with it. So, hopefully these songs are a good collaboration of that. I think that song specifically, it was different vocally for anything that I've ever done in the past. But
yeah, that's true.
A lot of fun to make.
I love it. Like I said, I think it's a real highlight of the new album. And I give you guys credit, and maybe this is a Chris thing. The album led me to Google because I didn't know who Ernest Becker was.
Yeah, and that's it's funny you bring Ernest Becker up.
Can we talk Can we talk about that?
Can we?
I think we can.
I think we can, Moose.
Go ahead. Tell them about
so
that.
so I got this random message through our website from somebody at the Ernest Becker Foundation, and they were asking if they could interview us for their latest newsletter. And I was like, oh, I don't even know who Ernest Becker is. So, so then at that point I Googled it, and then I figured it all out. And I talked to Chris about it, and Chris was like, yeah, that's fine, cool. Just, give him my contact information, and so I connected the two of them, and then we got together a couple weeks ago, and I asked him about it, and he's like, yeah, dude, they're like asking for a book report from me. And he said that it's literally taking me like a week to work on this interview that they want from me. And they're like an intellectual type organization. Ernest Becker was a cultural anthropologist that studied the human condition and why people do the things they do. And that's kind of what that song's about.
Basically what my note says over here.
Yeah.
What's that?
That's basically what my note says.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I mean, and that song is kind of taking Ernest Becker's perspective as though he were at Costco, watching what people do while they're there. And so he's like, I don't know if they're really going to like my answers. And he's like, and I'm probably going to be the dumbest person that the Ernest Becker Foundation has ever talked to, but I'm going to answer their questions and see what they say. So, we'll see what happens. They're supposedly supposed to be putting that in their next newsletter. So.
Yeah, but who
actually, I
gets it?
saw on Twitter that they actually tagged us on Twitter.
No way.
And they announced that they were going to be putting it in their next newsletter. So it is going to happen.
What is even happening here?
Exactly.
I mean, Ernest Becker is maybe going to be our legacy.
Now, Ernest Becker died in 1974.
Mm-hmm.
That was the same year that his Pulitzer Prize-winning book, The Denial of Death, was published.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm glad we could all help people learn things.
Hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, we
timing.
were trying to give everybody an educational experience. I think that was kind of the goal with that song.
That's what
It's
people
funny.
come to the Brokedowns for.
That's what they come to us
education.
for.
Yeah, you want to learn something new, listen to our songs.
Let's talk about this album cover, because as mentioned, it's just awesome. I'm a sucker. I don't even know how to describe this kind of art, but it's got that kind of like 1950s, very clean line aesthetic. So I guess I'm going to grab the camera here.
Definitely should send people over to Ryan's page, the artist Ryan Dugan.
Yep.
Is it Dugan? Am I saying
It's
that?
Ryan Dugan, and he is a Chicago artist who, we've kind of known through the years. He actually did the Species Bender cover as well.
Yeah, he did that.
And we always loved that one. And, now he's like, well established as an artist.
Yeah, he does like a calendar, and he's done some pieces where I think it's like some local Chicago spots, but all in.
Oh, he even gets like commissioned by like ESPN and shit.
This is fantastic work. I love everything about this.
One thing I would say about Ryan Dugan is that he puts out a calendar every year, and it's very much so kind of like in that style, I guess you could say, of artwork. But it's always like a calendar, and every month is like a scene of something very wholesome. And it'll be like a family out at a pumpkin patch enjoying a brisk fall afternoon, and a dog is shitting in the background.
Yeah.
That's right. I forgot.
It'll just be
It's
like,
like his signature
like
move.
he puts it like it's just that type of humor. I think matches ours
I was
very
going to say,
well.
it is so well paired with who you guys are.
Totally.
Yeah, definitely.
The tongue-in-cheek sense of humor. I love it. So the album kind of jumps off the shelves. How do you feel about? The past couple albums have been on vinyl. How do you feel about putting records out on vinyl? Does that feel
awesome?
substantive?
I prefer that
Yeah.
for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It feels like a must. I've been picking up 7 inches and LPs, since I was a kid.
Sure.
I worked at Record Breakers back in the day in the suburbs.
I just stopped. I stopped at Record Breakers on Milwaukee on my way here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
I picked up a Gary Newman record, and I picked up the 2 David Bowie albums that followed Let's Dance, which would be Tonight and Never Let Me Down, like his creative low point by far.
Yeah, sure.
I've been putting off buying those, but they were like $15 and $11 respectively. I'm like, I'll just add them to the stack.
Yeah,
that's
for sure.
That's still Eric. Do you know Eric? Eric runs that place now?
I don't know who
Eric Kratz, I think, is his name. But man, he used to run it when it was part of Reggie's or whatever and worked at
Right.
Reggie's.
And I used to work for Record Breakers back when it was in the suburbs.
Oh, yeah.
Like in Hoffman Estates. And that's Robbie, who owns Reggie's now,
Right.
the rock club. He was my boss at Record Breakers, and then he now owns Reggie's, and for a while had Record Breakers in Reggie's.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I believe maybe they
upstairs.
Right.
sold off the record
Yeah,
store
now it's
business, but-
like more seating and everything up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a sickness.
It is, yeah.
I know I need to stop, but I can't. At some point, I'm going to walk into my home office where all my records are. My family and friends will be sitting in chairs in a circle. Like, why don't you grab a seat?
When was the last time you've moved?
Oh, well, that's just it. See, I collected records as a kid.
Okay.
And I know where you're going with this. That's the surest way to lose friends and lose interest in vinyl is having to move all those boxes up and down stairs. Been there. The surest way. But I'm not moving anywhere for as long as I can think. So I'm fine. I've dropped anchor. I'm just going to keep on building my vinyl library.
I think, you know what, you want to know what's even worse is laser discs. And when a friend of ours was moving, these guys helped move the record and laser disc collection, and those and also CEDs. If you know what CEDs are, they're like the vinyl version of a laser disc that was rivaling the laser disc at the time.
I don't think
As
think
though there was a rival.
Dead media. You know what's funny too? It came in this vinyl record came inside like this cartridge that had like the cover of the movie or whatever. I remember watching Pink Floyd live at Pompeii, and so you stick the cartridge into this player almost all the way in.
By the way, tell me you get high without telling me you get high.
Eggs, this is it. And then it takes the vinyl out. You take the cartridge out, put it on top of the thing, and then when it's halfway done, you got to put the cartridge in. It loads the record back into the cartridge. You turn it around, put it in, and that's how you flip it.
What a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
Well, Half Price Books sells lots of used laser discs. And I remember going there with my son like a year or two ago, and I was going through all the budget records, and there's never anything good. It's like Gordon Lightfoot, Pablo Cruz, Jethro Tull, Moody Blues. And there's a huge stack of laser discs, and my son said, "What are those?" I'm like, "They're movies. I can't explain."
How do you explain that?
At my old house, one time we had this like last minute, like there's a local venue that was supposed to have a comedy show, and it got canceled. So the person that was organizing was like, been to a party at our house, and it was like, the house used to be owned by A.J. Funk and Company, which is the guy that does Sparkle glass cleaner and owned
Made in Elgin.
Owned Elgin Paper
Elgin,
Company.
Illinois.
We lived in like his house that he entertained people with, and it was like custom built for his kids. And anyway, we ended up having this comedy show there, and this guy was passing out joints that were that totally had hash all in them. And just watched what happened, and the host got so high, and he was like, just went on about all the laser discs and all the records. He's like, it's really cool because you can't steal any of this shit, because what am I going to play this shit on? But, yeah.
All right. So in summary, the pizza was awesome. I want to thank Dante's and Armitage for the slices and the artichoke hearts, which were fantastic appetizers.
Good crew over here.
Good crew over here. Yeah, very friendly.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Timmy Murphy.
Yep.
Thank you, Tim Murphy, a former guest of Car Con Carne. Moose, you are a former guest in a different life. I should have looked up. You were probably within the first 100 episodes for sure.
No shit.
You had to have been.
Okay.
And this is episode 800 something.
I remember you had to give us a ride home.
Well, I thought your parents were going to get you.
Yeah,
didn't happen, so-
yeah. Dad was drunk.
And that led to a career as a musician.
Yeah.
That's how that trajectory works. Again, I love this new album. I'm so glad to have it on vinyl. I'm glad that you've put it out on vinyl. Maximum Khaki. Fantastic. Thank you, the Brokedowns.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having
James.
us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.